Hey everyone, this is Taylor from Oathbound, and you're watching Concerts That Made Us.
Is everybody in? Is everybody in? The show is about to begin.
Welcome to the podcast, Concerts That Made Us. Interviews and stories, tales from the bus. We love taking you back to when it all went down. The greatest live shows and that cheering crowd sound. It's concerts that made us, concertsthatmadeus.com.
Taylor, you're very welcome to Concerts That Made Us.
Thanks, appreciate you having us here.
It's great, and I'm looking forward to diving into your music over the next bit. Now, first off, Oathbound recently released the EP Until It's Gone. Take us a bit deeper into it if you can.
Yeah, so EP is it's a 5-song album. We started writing it in the fall of 2023. Recorded it through the winter, and it came out on September 13th. The the themes of the songs kind of revolve around just some of the hardships that we endure as people on this just trying to navigate this world, right? There's songs that deal with addiction, and navigating coming back from being in a dark place, because of that. There's songs about um, losing people in our lives, just kind of one of those inevitable things that we all end up dealing with at some point, and just kind of how we process that loss. Um, and then there's songs about mental health. Um, our song "Anxiety" obviously is kind of on the nose when it comes to mental health, but it's something that several of us have struggled with uh, in our lives, and I think it's a pretty relatable song for a lot of people. So yeah, so far the release has been doing really well. We weren't sure exactly how the our expectations were low, I guess. Wasn't sure how it was going to be received, and we're thrilled with how it's been going so far with it. So check it out. It's on all those streaming platforms, and we've got a couple videos for the songs up on our YouTube channel. So
I like it. I like it. Something that stuck out to me there is, when you're primarily focused on kind of dark subject matter, it's not all sunshine and roses. How does that affect the mood within the band? How do you guys stay so positive when you're dealing in that sort of matter?
yeah, it's one of the things about are the lyrics that Kalyan writes, is that even though it is really dark subjects, most of the time we are able to turn it into a positive. Uh, it's easy to get bogged down in how hard life can be sometimes, but I think it's vastly more useful to figure out how to overcome those trials in our lives. So that's kind of one of the things that we try to focus on with our lyrical content. Um, Again, our song "Anxiety," it's about you know wishing that we were able to overcome the feelings of inadequacy, and and in the fear of trying to do different things. And as the song progresses, it's more about finding the strength within to kind of rise up to those challenges in our lives. And same with our song "Reflections." That song deals a lot with with substance abuse, dependency, and you know, kind of how we're able to kind of recapture our lives, so to speak, and um, kind of rise up from the depths of being in that addiction. So it's important for us that we try and do our best to put a positive spin on the negatives that surround us, because I don't know, it's too easy to fall into a dark place. And you know, um I think what a lot of people look for when they listen to music is a release from that dark place, and that's kind of our way of trying to help, I guess.
Yeah, I get you. I get you. Now, when it came to recording and production, was there any challenges you guys faced or any memorable moments that you can share with us?
uh Challenges wise, I mean, for anyone that's that hasn't been through the recording process, it's a lot of work. You know, there's the whole part of about writing the songs. You know, that's a lot of work in itself, but actually sitting down and trying to make sure that you're getting the cleanest takes for guitars, for drums, just making sure that everything is as tight as it can be. So from that aspect, it wasn't out of the ordinary. But this was a fully, you know, this album was produced, mixed, pretty much entirely conceived by us in the band. It was self-produced, so um, that was an interesting learning experience for all of us. Kalyan, our vocalist, did all the mixing. Uh, um, we sent it out to have it mastered by one of our somebody that we know here locally. But I think we learned a lot from that process. Just it's easy to get lost in what's familiar. Because when we released the album, you know, it's like everything's been mixed and mastered, and you start getting feedback like, oh, you know, the vocals are too low here or whatever. You're like, well, I guess we'll take that with us for the next one, and and we'll keep that in mind for the next album. But you know, it's just you get so close to a project that it's hard to, at some point it starts getting blurry. You know, you don't see the the detail in the songs anymore because you've heard it so many times that you know, that's why it's important for us on this next album that we're working on right now to, I think, bring in an outside perspective during the recording process, so that we don't get so bogged down in just I don't know, that you get a lot of fatigue. You know, your ears, you stop hearing the detail in the songs. So that's um, we're gonna bring in some outside help on the album to try and really get the best album out of this next one.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the next one because I was going to ask, you know, you're currently working on the next album, but you have to sit here talking about your last release. Does that kind of become a bit of a nuisance, you know, when your mind is obviously focused on the next?
No, you know, it's the way that I look at it. It's all about trying to build and keep momentum. Because in this day and age, it's so easy for people to just forget about, you know, where it's such an ADD, you know, attention deficit society. It's all about, you know, what have you released lately, and so we're trying to be very deliberate about being consistent, releasing music. So that's why we're jumping into recording so quickly after releasing this EP, so that we don't lose the momentum that we started building with what we've done with the EP. Uh, we've had we've got 11 or 12 songs that are written for the album, and the intent is that, we continue promoting the EP basically up until we start releasing the single for the next album, just so that we keep that ball rolling. Because it's all about growth, and then that's the mindset that we go into it with is basically no days off, just keep grinding, releasing music, releasing good content, and trying to engage with our listeners on a daily basis to make sure that we're staying relevant in the music scene. So no, I don't think it's weird at all. I think it's kind of cool. It was such a long process getting the EP recorded, promoted, and then finally released that it's kind of it's the payoff that we've kind of been waiting for. And so talking about the EP it's great, man. I'm just stoked that people are listening to it.
I get you. I get you. Sound wise, what can we expect from the upcoming album? Will there be any signs of growth within the band that stand out?
Yeah, definitely. I think the songs they're still going to sound like Oathbound songs, but I feel like from a musical composition side of things, they're a lot more. I don't know if technical is the right word, although they are a lot more technical. They're I would say the production is at least like 100% better. There's a lot more thought that's gone into just how the songs are arranged, and we spent a lot more time, I think, on putting these songs together than we did with the EP. And it's been a lot more of a collaborative process on the EP. I think I was the primary writer for at least all the music, and then Colleen and I and John worked on the vocals a lot on the EP. But for the album, it's everyone's had a part in writing, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I would say that some of the songs are some of the songs are heavier than on the EP, but I'm excited to I'm excited to start getting in and recording guitar parts. We're going to be tracking drums here the first part of December, so we're getting right into it.
Nice, nice. Now, the podcast is called Concerts That Made Us, so I have to ask you some concert-related questions if you don't mind. First
Yeah.
off, as a concert goer, what concerts would you say have made you?
For me personally, I would say the first time that I saw Killswitch Engage was a pretty mind-blowing experience for me. This was years ago, and at the time, I was listening to more like post-hardcore, and I guess screamo, as some people would have called it back then. So definitely still heavy, but not not your traditional like metalcore type songs. So I think when I saw the Killswitch show, I was blown away by how technical the songs were and how flawlessly they were able to play them live. Um, I was I was just like it really inspired me to go and try and learn my craft better, to try and just be able to kind of emulate that live performance, because it's one thing to record technical guitar or drums, and it's a totally different thing to be able to pull it off live and have it sound more or less like it does on the record. So yeah, for me that was just like the light bulb went off, and I was like, this is the type of music that I want to play. And kind of from there, it's just kind of snowballed into like opening up my eyes to other bands that are in that same genre. And now it's Killswitch is, they're I don't know if I'd call them the old guys on the block, but I mean, there's definitely a lot of newer bands that are coming out with their own take on the modern metalcore sound, which I'm super into also. So it's just if I can point back to one concert that kind of shaped where I'm at today, I'd say that seeing Killswitch is the one.
It's a good one. It's a good one. Now, for any listeners that haven't been lucky enough to catch one of your shows, what are they like? Give us the full experience if you can.
Yeah, so we put a lot of effort into our production because I think it's important to make your live set as memorable as possible. Because there's a lot of music out there, and I don't personally feel like it's enough to just go up and play the songs. You need to do something that sets you apart. So one of the things that I've spent a lot of time on is getting our light package kind of figured out. So for shows that we headline, we've got several cases of stage lighting that we bring with us to our shows, and the lights are all they're all synced up to our backing tracks. So you kind of have to see it to really understand what I'm talking about. But we've got like blinder lights behind the back of stage that they flash during in certain patterns during the songs. So I think we're not at the point right now where we actually have a lighting designer that goes with us to our shows. So being able to have our own lighting package that's already synced up to our backing tracks and that really, I think, helps us deliver the performance that people are going to pay a little bit more attention to. And we've got a few new things in the works as far as lighting and stage presence goes here. I think we're gonna try and work it into our show next week, but hopefully that all goes well. But we pride ourselves on having a high energy show, and just kind of by the end of it, all of our heads feel like they're going to fall off from headbanging and just dripping with sweat and all that stuff. So we're definitely not the type of band that just stands up there and kind of stares at our shoes playing our instruments. We're moving all over the place and trying to make it sound as much like the recordings as possible, because I think it's important that bands are able to pull off their live sound, at least sound as close to the album as possible, because it's pretty disappointing when you see a band that they've overproduced their album to the point where they can't reproduce it on the stage, and it's just kind of a letdown.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Man, your gigs, they sound like a hell of a time, an absolute hell of a time. And if you think of all the gigs that you guys have played, is there one that sits above the rest, it just couldn't have got any better?
I could answer that in two ways, I guess. There's definitely gigs that stand out. I'll start with one that stands out, not because it went great, but just because of the way that. So we had a run of shows this summer. They were just back to back to back to back, and so we went from the Seattle area, played a show on like a Friday night, and then had to drive basically 500 miles to our next show on the next day. Had an early load in, so we drove all the way through the night. Nobody slept. It was an outdoor show, It was a festival. It was, I don't know, it was 90, I think it was 96 degrees. So I always screw up the conversion to Celsius, but it was it was it was freaking hot. It was super hot,
Right.
and none of us had slept, and we were very concerned that it was so hot that like our computer was gonna fail. Just it was so hot that we were all just extremely relieved that we made it through the set. Because I remember like two songs left in the set. I I was thinking to myself that I wasn't gonna be able to make it like through the rest of the songs, like because I was so tired and so dehydrated that I could barely think anymore, and I was like on the verge of having a panic attack on stage, and
And
it was terrible. So that's the most memorable show for me right now. For the wrong reasons. Um, for the right reasons, we just played a show at a new venue. They is a new venue in Tacoma, Washington called the Airport Tavern, and the name is pretty unassuming. It makes it sound like it's just a bar, but it's not. They've got a huge stage that's, I mean, it's literally like the stage is probably, I don't know, maybe 15 meters wide. Uh, and it's like a legit stage with a drum riser. You've got, probably two or $300,000 in stage lighting that they've put into this place. Um, I was we'd never played there before, and we weren't really expecting much. And when we walked in for load in, we were like, holy cow, this place is insane. So just being able to actually play um, on the types of stages that we're doing this so that we can increasingly play bigger shows and better stages and stuff like that, and to finally get to the point where we play a show on a stage like that was just like, wow, this is kind of happening for us. This is where we're starting to make steps um, in the positive direction here. And the crowd was really good that night, and the sound, the other thing was the sound guy was great. Because that's one thing you just never know what you're going to get when you show up to a venue. Is the sound guy going to be cool, or is he going to make things kind of a difficult night? But the sound guy was fantastic. So we sounded great. The crowd was great. The stage was great. I mean, you couldn't ask for more. It was a really good night. So um, hoping to keep that going and play more and more stages like that in the future.
if every show could be like that, it'd be a dream come true, wouldn't
That's
it?
the I mean, that's the reason we're trying. That's the reason we push so hard, so we can do that every night.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Before we dive into the last couple of questions, then, future plans, upcoming gigs, when can we expect the album? Let us in on everything.
I will, to the best of what I know today, I will try and answer that. So yeah, we've got a headlining gig next week in Tacoma, Washington, on November 10th. And really, right now we're trying to get the album tracked. I think the goal is to start releasing singles probably in April. I would say is the goal for getting the first song from the album out there. We're uh, we are in the process of planning our first tour, our first like legit tour next summer. So we've got 14 or 15 dates on the West Coast of the United States, from Washington to California to, I think we're going to Las Vegas, Salt Lake City. So we're doing, what is 14 or 15 dates next summer, and that's something that we're very much looking forward to. I think all of us just love the experience of being on the road and just playing to new crowds and just being out there and meeting new people. So it's a big thing for us, is just trying to make sure that we've got that it's timed with getting the first few singles from the album released for that tour. So got a lot going on. We've got a bunch of other like one-off shows and kind of like 3-day runs here and there in the first part of 2025. But our main focus right now is getting the album recorded.
Like it. I like it. Sounds like a plan. Right. The last couple of questions, there are a couple of fun random ones. First off, besides music and the band, what are you currently obsessed with?
Oh man, that's hard because I spend so much of my time um, on the band. Um, I I would say I love traveling. Um, and one of the things my day job provides me with the opportunity to travel a lot. Um, so 2 weeks ago I was in Japan um, for a week, and this is the first time I'd ever been to Japan, and it was something that was on my bucket list. And if you've never been to Japan, it's absolutely insane. It's culturally, I can't think of a place that's more different than the United States than Japan. It's crazy. So I love going and seeing new cultures. I think it's important for perspective in your own life to see how other people live. It's not that big of a world, you know.
Hmm.
It always blows my mind that you can get on a plane and in 6 or 7 hours be in a completely different place on the planet. It's I don't know, it's like science fiction type stuff. Um, so that would be probably my current obsession, at least until Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out on PlayStation. I think once that game drops, probably gonna gonna be a battle for where my time is spent between the band and my PlayStation.
You and me both. I'm already trying to work out how I can like book a month off from everything.
Yeah, for real.
Oh man. And the next one. It's a bit strange. If you had to spend 24 hours locked in a room with any musician from history, who would it be?
Oh, Jesus. Um, any musician in history. Uh Man, I'm trying to think. There's like some of my personal inspirations. Um, I really think that hanging out with like Nick Hippa, formerly of As I Lay Dying. It's just bad timing for that. But Nick Hippa, I've met him. He's a super nice guy. Um, Huge inspiration of mine, guitar wise. Plus, he's just a genuinely good person, at least by all accounts. But as far as like historical musicians go, um, man, I'm trying to think of somebody that like, I mean, that's a tough question. There's just there's so many crazy personalities out there that it's like I would like to meet them. I don't know that I'd want to spend 24 hours with them. It could
Yeah.
get crazy. Um, I mean, any of the any of the guy, any of the band from like Fleetwood Mac would be awesome. They're a they're one of those bands that were always on in my house when I was a kid. My parents, were big Fleetwood Mac fans, and to this day, I absolutely love listening to them. So, um, hanging out with the guys from Metallica back in the day would would also have been a dream come true for a younger me.
Mm.
Um, you know, uh, yeah, man, I'm gonna have to remember that question and come up with a better answer for the future.
Right, right. And the final one, what's your go-to album? An album you constantly revisit?
My go-to album is "Shadows Are Security" by As I Lay Dying. And again, I know there's a bunch of drama going on there, and I clearly know that there's a major problem with their lead singer, and it sucks that things went down the way they were, the way that they've gone down. Obviously, I don't condone anything that has gone on with that band, but as far as like an album that to me was probably the most influential for where my music is today, it would be "Shadows Are Security" by As I Lay Dying.
Perfect.
Just heavy technical, like just heavy metalcore.
I like it. I like it. Good choice. Listen, Taylor, this has been an absolute blast now. Thanks a million.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks so much.
Welcome to the podcast, conscience that made us. Interviews and stories, tales from the bus. We love taking you back to when it all went down. The greatest live shows and the cheering crowd sound. It's concerts that made us, concerts that made us.com.